Imelda and Humberto continue to do a little dance, which is good, but rain is certainly streaming in for a lot of the southeast. Hi, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice, keeping you up to date along the way. You can see Imelda getting closer to Florida, and actually, Florida is going to be its closest pass by the United States, which is good. And Humberto has a big reason for that. If you're new to this channel, folks, please like this video. Let me know in the comment section where you're watching from right now. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. We have been monitoring this storm system all along, and folks, as we watch this, it has certainly sent in big changes for us along the way. And I gotta say, this is an answer to prayer, because this thing was looking a whole lot more dire about 72 hours ago, and big changes have occurred. Let me map out where we're going to go from here with both Imelda and Humberto, what may be lurking behind that in the tropics in the weeks to come, and just the way our pattern is going to start unfolding over the next couple of days. So let's dive right in. Here is Humberto looking a monster like it is, and I never say I'm glad a storm is strong, because no matter where you're at, rip currents can kill, even if it's a couple hundred miles out to sea for Bermuda. So we never want to root for a storm system to be stronger. But in this case, if there's a silver lining to Humberto being stronger, it's that Imelda right here, which is right off the Florida coast. Where are my Florida people at? I mean, it is right there, but thankfully it is just offshore. You can see that eye wall is starting to tighten right here, getting a little bit more organized. And as that is happening, this is going to continue to press up toward the north and east, and it will continue to offer better weather as this thing continues to press on. Now, stay out of the water as long as you can do that, and as long as you're not afraid of getting wet, we're going to be just fine in many areas. The new track here from the National Hurricane Center shows this starting to make its right turn as we go into tonight and through the day tomorrow. And good news, it is as a hurricane doing so. And it's possible this turns into a Category 2 hurricane. The latest models do show a Cat 2 as it is passing east. And again, good riddance, Imelda. We do not want you near the United States. If you remember, if it weren't for Humberto happening here, which I'll show you in a minute why, this thing was going to do the opposite curve. It was going to go that way instead of this way, which we are certainly proud of. Hey, hats off to the models. They picked up on that new circulation. They picked up on Humberto's strength early, especially our European AI and our Google AI. Now, folks, it's still early. We can't put all of our eggs in the AI basket, but both of those models, the Euro AI and the Google AI especially, performed very well with this storm system, catching on to those trends early. They were the first to catch on to this thing maybe coming inland. They were the first to catch on to the fact that it's going to turn. Now, that's certainly good news, but all of our models, every single one of them showing it's going to turn, which leads us to high confidence that this will not directly make landfall in the United States. But like I mentioned, when you're talking about rip currents, folks, it doesn't matter if you get directly hit. If we get a landfall that's near or a hurricane that's near, it turns up the waters, and inevitably somebody somewhere is out swimming and can be compromised due to the incredible rip currents with this. So please be careful with that. That is a big concern. And not to mention, there is some rain spreading out. Now, not necessarily directly from this. There's a dip in the jet stream here across the southeast, and that is allowing for a lot of this rain to be spread off toward the north and east. So from Florida to Georgia to the Carolinas, it is raining today in many areas. Here's Google's deep mind. Again, hats off to Google. They put a lot of money in this weather model this year, and it has outperformed the traditional models in many circumstances. Is it perfect? Absolutely not, but it certainly gives us a good handle on things. Here's the regular old SHIPS model. Gives you a good idea of the track. SHIPS is right at high Cat 1, whereas National Hurricane Center has Cat 2. And Bermuda, you do need to pay attention to that. That's where it's going to go eventually. You'll get some hurricane force winds as we go down the pipe. So watching this closely on our models. Let's look at the models. I'll show you long-term pattern in just a moment. Let me flip it back to our tropical models here. Here's the GFS on this tropical system. There's Humberto. Notice a little dance it's doing. Humberto's strong. Its counterclockwise flow starts to grab Imelda and pull it out. You see those pressures dropping 983, sub 980. That means Cat 1, Cat 2 approaching. And that goes on off to shore, and we've got nice high pressure building in. In fact, it gets a little bit cooler across the southeast, which I'll show you here in just a moment. Even Florida, you might get in on some of that action. Let me show you the GFS rain, because, yep, rain is part of the equation with this. Spreading in, it's not raining in buckets, but half an inch or so in western Carolinas, more like an inch to 3 along the Carolina coast. Very manageable, but just more nuisance rain here for your Monday evening, Tuesday into Tuesday evening. But I think things are looking a lot better after that. We're just talking about regular old rain. How about rainfall totals? GFS very kind. Half an inch or less. You go down toward the coast. This goes way out. You go down toward the coast. You got about an inch or so out of this. Now down the pipe, it looks like the Western Carolinas. This goes all the way to October 15th, folks. We may be looking at the opposite. We may be looking at a lack of rain being a problem for wildfire concerns and just being really, really dry. The models here show a half an inch or less of rain for the next 15 days in the Western Carolinas. A lot more toward Florida, but that's something we need to keep an eye on. A very dry pocket here showing up in our computer models. In fact, I'm going to save that because it's worth watching that. Now moving forward. All right, so let's look at the other models. What do we got here? GFS wind gusts in here to the Carolinas as it gets closer. Let's zoom out here to the southeast because it's actually a little bit closer. Where am I here? U.S. regions. Let me click southeast. There we go. Its closest pass is actually by Central Florida, and we're talking 25, 30 mile per hour wind gusts. So not too shabby. I mean, this is definitely doable, but boy, compared to where we were just a bit ago, this is a welcome sight. I want to run the European model out. It's got some gusty winds here. It's got that, but more in particular, I want to look at the precipitation. Precipitation total out of the 12Z, this gets us through October 5th. Got a little more rain here coming in the front or some kind of feature here, which we'll look at in a moment, here on the 9th, 10th, 11th. So let's look at that European model, what it's got cooking here. Southeast, let's go pressure. Anomaly, there we go. Let's investigate a little bit. High pressure's in here. I got just an onshore flow. Looks like this Imelda gets out of the way. High pressure's here. And you get this little low down here, whatever this is. This feature starts to send in onshore flow. So it looks like rain does start stream in. Basically enhanced rain and thunderstorm chances daily. That'd be Sunday, Monday into Tuesday's time frame, and that would allow us to get into some deeper rain chances. But this model showing here by the 15th, we got a little something similar. Can't let your guard down on tropical season all the way through October. Although I will say the second half of October always looks a lot better than during the first half. So things do end up looking a lot better. So let's just run this model through. We'll look at what's happening here. Two big hurricanes doing a little Fujiwara, pulling it away, and boom, high pressure settles in. Very nice weather for the eastern half of the United States that first week of October. Dry weather settles in too. Looks like no rain chances for that first 10 days for the southeast. And then you can see that high retrograde. Here comes a little low. You see that there? Did you notice that? This would be through the 9th, 10th, getting closer to you folks in the Lesser Antilles. Where are you watching from right now? Are you in the islands? Where are my island people at? You got the Lesser Antilles up through Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti. There's Turks and Caicos, and here goes this low kicking north right here, and this would be up that way. Looks like another hurricane. Depending on the steering currents here, Bermuda High is way shifted over, which looks a little oddly placed to me, but here we are toward the end of the model, showing a little low pressure system. That's not a strong one. That'd be tropical depression, maybe not even tropical, but it's that time of year you start getting those features to show up. Let's just, for comparison's sake, look at the GFS. Shows Imelda and Humberto going away. Bye-bye. High pressure comes in. Very nice weather. I mean, it's going to be a little mild in some days, cool nights. Get a pocket of some cool weather here or there. It's got a little something cropping up here in the Gulf here toward the 5th, 6th time frame. Doesn't look to be much, but one to watch. And advancing this thing way out, 8th, 9th, 10th. Here you go. Similar feature here on the GFS. So it looks like the 9th, 10th, 11th. We got something getting toward the Lesser Antilles. We'd have to watch that moving forward. It looks like it blows up into a big hurricane, but does so far enough away that it would go east of Bermuda, and that would be one to watch way down the road. But thankfully, that's way down the road. All right, so let's look at what's going on here. Got this dip in the jet stream. That, in combination with Humberto being so strong, is why Imelda is going away. It's going away from the United States, which is certainly very good news. And you got this big ridge building in here. So that goes away. Dry weather settling in 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. I mean, we're pretty zonal here with not much cooking here. It looks like a pretty tame and dry time for us going into October. So 6 to 10 day outlook from the national NOAA folks, the CPC. Looks like above normal precipitation with that old frontal boundary across parts of Florida. So you can expect it to stay quite rainy and wet, just kind of like the rainy season. And then you look out at 8 to 14-day temperatures. Looks like above normal as a whole, though there will be some cool weather, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. 6 to 10-day precipitation outlook, same thing there. You saw that. And let's do 8 to 14-day precipitation outlook. Looks like the East Coast I-95 corridor looks a little wetter. But there are some signs that we're going to cool down a little bit. Let me show you that. So Imelda and whatnot goes away Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. By Wednesday, Thursday, notice this high up here. That high, if it was wintertime, would be a snowmaker. You can tell I'm ready for snow season. But this high, where it's located, gives us snow in the wintertime because it's a cold high pressure. It sends in those cooler winds from the northeast, and that would certainly be the case here, as it would lock us in with some very cool air. Friday is the best day here. I've got some chilly readings here across the western Carolinas. I've got 40s in the forecast, upper parts of Georgia, Atlanta, 48 to 52. Even some cooler weather far south is the Panhandle could get in some of that action as we go towards Saturday, Sunday. But then we start to get this front to migrate back. That's why you are wetter than normal here across Florida going into the next little bit, because you have that front kind of hanging tight over you, and that would kind of give you where we're seeing things. Here is 12Z Monday. You've got another front trying to come on in. So that's the way things are kind of shaping up there. How about rainfall totals? You know, you got Imelda right there. My goodness. I mean, what a blessing. I mean, whoa. I mean, if that were to have shifted inland, that track right there, that shift of rain, that swath of rain for many runs in a row were toward the western Carolinas. And man, that was some stressful times, folks. I am just so thankful that that Humberto strengthened when it did, that the pattern set up when it did, because we just really dodged a bullet there. Days 1 through 3, rain totals there, 1 through 5, 1 through 7. Folks, I don't see a good drop of rain in the western Carolinas, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Texas for the next week. I just don't see it. I don't see the pattern shifting around enough to give us that. How about tropical, way out in the distance here? Let's look deeper as we go long term. Looks like we got a little something to watch here in the main development region around the 8th, 9th, 10th, which would give us into here for that time frame. So it looks like we're taking a break for about a week of tropical action, and then toward the beginning, the end of that first week of October, beginning of that second week, we would have some action to watch in that main development region, which is a typical trouble spot. Thankfully, the Caribbean is not cooking right now, but we would need to watch that closely. Right in here, you'd have some action, and right in here is where you'd start to see some action trying to bubble up. So simply put, we're not done with tropics by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just something we'll be watching here. Folks, caught up with my family. It has been a wild week. We are rocking and rolling, but all is well my way. I pray it is for you as well. Stay tuned, and always, please continue to follow me here on this page. If you don't already, please like this video. Tell me where you're watching from in the comment section right now. Subscribe to the video and turn on notifications, folks. I'm going to be on top of it all. We're going to be getting here into the change of season, so with that comes a chance for storms some days. It also comes snow is not too far away. Within 60 days, plus or minus, we'll be having snow to talk about across a good bit of the United States. Folks, I do appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.